I'm sorry, y'all. You had to forgive me. I am finishing my last high chew. Who's hip to high chew? No, they are not a sponsor of the BTG, but they should be. This candy is great, and just like true to form, this is grape. Not that any black people like grape things, but
Uh,
that's what we're doing this morning. As you know, this is, if you're tuning in, whether, I'm sorry to the folks who aren't looking at the video because you can't see all the fun we're having, but this is the 3x3 BTG Bridging the Gap, for those of y'all keeping score at home, podcast. And I am one of your trifecta of hosters, and I am, you see the name, IORR03, all across the web. We have DeRicker with us, fresh off another tour. What was the tour this week? He was handing out the knowledge this week. You know, each and every week. So you got to follow him around the web, especially on Facebook. He has like the greatest, like the coolest posts. And he
thank
tags
you, man.
people. Yeah, yeah. He tags people and they're like, man, I don't like that song. No. There was something else I was gonna say, but I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Oh man.
But he has some really
Oh man.
he has some really good debates with someone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave that one alone.
Yeah,
But
man.
but it's all
Yeah.
good. I enjoy
Yeah.
that. I always
Yeah.
enjoy that. And sorry, I did a Peter Brady. And we have the nephew, the one and only the nephew, the real nephew, and that
Yes.
is Soul Brav everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere. And he's really going to be he's our lead today. He is really going to be our lead. The pressure is on
Oh man.
because, as you can see in the title, we are talking about 2005. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. For me,
Oh man.
let me tell you why 2005 musically is like a really weird space for me. One, you know, I don't know if many people know, but I did like the whole like adult go back to school thing, which anyway, which was cool. But in the fall of '05, that's when I went back to VCU, did this jazz studies and African American studies degree. Had a great time being the old man in class. It was totally cool. But so that was a competing thing because anytime you go into a music school, that's a whole whatever that they're putting into your brain, and then you start like, oh yeah, it's like, So that's one thing. But the other thing is, I had really kind of tuned out to like a lot of mainstream music, but I didn't know about the. I really didn't know about the underground. I didn't know about the independent scene. So I was just like a lot of people out there lost because I've heard this argument for being with grown folks for like what 10 years now, almost 11. It'll be 11 at the end of this month. They don't make any good music anymore. No, no. You are either too lazy to find it, sorry, or you're not tuned into the right thing. And it's cool.
Yeah.
Everybody go through that. It's cool. I'm telling you, this is my mea culpa. This is my come to Jesus moment. I did not know about none of this stuff. So I'm gonna rely on the Ricker heavily too on this
Well, like in your
episode.
defense, Ivan,
Yeah,
because
yes.
I know, because then like we were gigging together then,
Mm-hmm.
and I can testify. So I remember how busy that was for you with
Mm,
school and home, and
mm-hmm.
then I remember like we be doing tunes and rehearsal. You kind of be like, "What's this again?" Be like, "Okay." And, I mean, like I mean, in your defense, like you had a lot going on, so I mean, it's kind of easy. Like people don't understand sometimes, like when you got, you know, if you're busy
Yeah.
already in music, then you got to deal with
Mm,
that like academic part of it, and
yeah.
then the only recreation that you have, like when you have free time, sometimes you don't want to tune in to that
That's true.
which you're having to deal with all day at school.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah.
so
Thank you.
so
Yeah, yeah.
so like you kind of got this thing of like, man, give me a few hours of decompression. But then like your decompression was, well, look, we got to rehearse, or maybe we got a gig, or like you got to learn a tune. So
Yeah.
what was once I think a recreation for you became like, I'm not doing this because I
Right.
need a break.
Right.
I mean,
Very
which is
true.
understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, man. So
Oh,
so
thank
yeah,
you. So yeah, we're gonna like I said, I'm gonna lean on these gentlemen very heavily. Y'all probably be tripping off my picks because like, I mean, plus the other thing, I think we have to bear in mind about 2005 is that I remember when I first moved to Richmond, and I think they still do this, and I've always thought that this was out of line. Sorry, Radio One, and other stations that do this. I always thought this was out of line, but it was very in the front when I would drive around town. I have stuff to do, listen to the radio. And I tried to tune into the urban stations. I tried, but one thing that used to frustrate the heck out of me, and it really became apparent during this era, maybe a couple of years prior. But you would always have these stations that say the home of hip hop and R&B. Now you could take that one of two ways. You could say R&B is the elder, and so it's got the place of you know distinction in the back, or you could say, well, maybe why is it hip hop and why isn't it just why? I mean, in other words, so I say all that. Me blathering about that is we're at an era now where the chart has become the hip hop and R&B chart. So
Mhm.
right, so it's not. There's no longer a separate, and you will see it reflected. Like it is
yeah,
totally like now, and that's not on some hater stuff. It's just that that's where we are. And you got some people that were prominent in '05.
yeah.
I don't know.
On both ends of that,
Yeah, on both ends. Yep.
on like both ends of that musical spectrum.
100%. We were talking earlier about how difficult it was for me, and I was a fresh 17 years old, at the highlight of my life, So looking back, I'm like, dang, he didn't fare out so well.
Yeah. And look, I think that title, man, I think that kind of came about because like a few years prior, there was a wave of um like hip hop artists sampling classic R&B tunes. And so that made it easier if you heard, I mean, especially if the sample was so prominent to where like it couldn't be denied, where it pretty much made the tune, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that era very well.
And so
Yeah.
and so because like you remember, and I'm sure some of our listeners may remember, like there was a point where certain R&B stations wouldn't play
Oh, absolutely.
hip
Yeah.
hop unless it was a certain time of day or on a certain day of the week. And
Only
then
yeah, and only
and then
two artists really were able to um will be played and also tour, which was Kumo D and Heavy D.
yeah. And
Everybody else
so
is kind of
was kind of iffy, yeah. But when they started that sample thing and they started
right.
sampling these like familiar R&B tunes, like program directors kind of like, okay, well, this is a little easier because some of our listeners can like identify with this because this is a sample from whether it's Chic or Don Ross or somebody or
Who are you
Cool
alluding
in the
to?
Gang, or I'm not saying no names.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing. It
But
sounds like
but
a particular camp.
well,
The more shiny suits.
Hey,
I'm
yeah, they weren't alone.
no, oh no, not at all. But you know
They
what's
were not
fun?
alone.
You know what's funny about that though? Here's the irony of us as a people, right? Like we're always, we're innovators, we're doing things. What always struck me as hilarious about that particular era, and about, like you said, how it melds into now we get a hip hop and R&B thing, is that at the beginning of the decade, everybody was clowning Hammer. And he was doing the same thing, literally lifting entire songs. Doves Cry.
Pray, yeah, for pray,
Yeah.
Super Freak for You
Super
Can't Touch
Freak,
This. Yeah,
entire
yeah,
song. They're like, oh,
that
that's
is true.
Then literally in the middle of the decade, you have a whole movement, and it's like, that y'all. And I'm not a Hammer apology. I mean, I'm not, but it's just
Yeah.
like, that's weird.
I mean, it's funny because even back then, I used to some people from like upstate, like New York and all that
Hmm.
I knew, I would meet, and a friend of mine from LA would always kind of joke them and say, "So y'all not go say like your boy Puffy is the new Hammer? Like y'all just not go say it?
Right. Because he
Like y'all
took
not
the
going to
formula.
say
He
it?"
literally took the formula.
like Source magazine and none of them, like nobody up there wanted to get behind the fact that this is the new Hammer and y'all trying to act like it's not. And I mean, you're absolutely right. It was, I mean, musically it was the same thing. What those baggy pants were at 90, the shiny suits were, I mean,
Well, it's a costume. You're right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Hammer had a hype dude. Now granted, rhymes
yeah.
might have been a tad bit better
Right, right,
from
right,
one
right.
camp,
Yeah.
but when I mean it was pretty much, you are absolutely right, the almost exact same thing, but
Yeah.
nobody wanted to say
Mm-mm.
like
Mm-mm.
nobody wanted to say like this is the new Hammer.
Right. And not and like I said, we'll get it right into the music. And like I said, I want to let the nephew lead us. But one other thing that is an outgrowth of that, which I think leads us to 2005, which for somebody like me who's starting to move into early curmudgeon status, like I said, we talked about all I had going on in life, and I'm like, "Argh." The shiny the shiny suit era and sort of that era, what it ends up happening is sampling, the business of sampling. I mean, well, there's a whole thing we could do a whole show about De La Soul and Biz and
Hmm.
all these landmark cases with like the Turtles and so forth. So that's for another show. But what ends up happening is let's look at the economics, the politics, the business of it. You have this particular camp who's tied into Arista, who may have the coffers to pay to clear certain prominent songs. But where does that leave everyone else? They can't afford it. So
Hmm.
what? Yeah. So what ends up happening is you get the rise of people like Swizz Beats, and other folks like that, who their music is primarily just keyboard patches. They're not sampling. Excuse me. They're not sampling anything. And so whereas a Swizz might be at a particular level, you get all these copycat people that come who say, "Oh, I'm just going to go get a Korg Triton and MPC 2000, and that's my rig, and I'm using these sounds." And it starts to become. I mean, we're still in that today, believe it or
Hmm.
not. Where you
Yeah.
have these guys that just make beats and they're not Dilla, and everybody isn't going to be Dilla, but
Yeah.
it's just a certain aesthetic that for me, it's not a lot of it's not that appealing just because uh, I don't think everything has to be complex, but I just feel like for some stuff it's missing, and so that was my long way of saying that in 2005 we see many examples
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
kind of music making. Sorry,
It-
sorry, folks, my bad. So, so let's start this party off. Let me get my trigger finger for the vaults. So the nephew, let's give us some context. This was your year, man.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
easily.
yeah.
So, 2005, I was living in Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana.
what?
Uh, at the
Ah,
Okay.
time, yeah, I moved to Louisiana the end of my junior year. And so this was senior year in
wow.
Louisiana for the first part. And then I went to college in Baton Rouge, Southern University, A&M College, best band in the land. Shout outs.
No doubt.
So my freshman year of college was 2005. Um, August 2005, Hurricane Katrina hits New Orleans.
Oh
Hmm.
wow.
All right.
Yep.
So everybody from New Orleans is fleeing to different places. A lot of them come up to Baton Rouge. I'm by myself in Baton Rouge outside of my friends, of course. So it was a
Wait, so what school did you go
really
to?
interesting year. Southern University,
Oh, man, okay, that's
HBCU.
what's
Yeah.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. SU,
that's
man.
what's up.
Um, but yeah, so people from New Orleans are flooding everywhere, of course. It's all over the news and everything. Kanye says George Bush doesn't care about black people, and
Con
uh,
the Kanye that's running for president, Kanye.
that Kanye.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. The
But
one and
yeah, it was
only.
Right,
it
right.
The
was a
one and
very
only.
very very interesting year. But I also this is when I kind of started digging around musically and kind of finding my hip hop ear as well versus kind of just listening to the radio. Now that may or may not be reflected today, but it did happen.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
That's
yeah,
what's
yeah.
up,
So
man. I got some good friends that went. Well, I got a few. I got a good frat brother friend. I know they graduated from Southern, and I know one of my homegirls from Birmingham. Uh,
yeah,
she went there, so cool. I know. For our music listeners, Randy Jackson.
yeah.
I happen to not know him from his bass work.
Yes, sir.
Most of you may know him from Come
Oh,
On Dog,
that
from
show.
American Idol. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But he is
Yeah.
a Southern University alum.
Man,
he is. He is
Yeah.
one of the
we have
proud
to
alumni. Also, David Banner was the
Yeah, you know
absolutely.
what? I was
SGA
gonna say.
president.
I was gonna
Yep.
say. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think David Bannon went to Southern. Okay.
yeah.
He was a student body president, I
He
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was. He
yeah.
was. He was.
Lavelle
Yeah,
Crump,
yeah.
no doubt.
Oh, that's what's
Yeah,
up. That's
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
up.
That's awesome. We'll have to do a show one day. Seriously, we'll get through. We're gonna do 2005. We're gonna do 89. We're gonna do 88. And then at some point, we're going to probably talk about soundtracks and specific albums. But I would love for us to do a show, and probably have to be multi-part. I know it would, where we talk about HBCUs and the who they have produced and what they mean to our music. And there's a long list.
Man.
But I think it needs to be said. But anyway, back to '05.
Man.
Right. I'll get started. I do want to say that
Oh no, take your
that
time. We good.
going to an HBCU was the best decision that I could have made. It shaped me. It shaped me as the man that I am. Where I guess in the world is diverse, right? And we're seen
Hmm.
as a minority, so it's good to be a majority of something for even a few years, and be
Hmm.
surrounded and molded by people before you get out into the world, and it's a family environment. It's great, and that's where I fell in love and I started reading more about my Black history and Black culture. So if anyone's listening and on the fence, go Black, always go Black. Um,
Yeah, I co-signed that. I co-signed
Especially if you're looking
HBCU
at the
graduate.
NBA or the
Yeah.
yeah,
NFL.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
go
just
Black,
playing.
Yeah.
go
Go,
Black,
go
yeah.
Blue.
It's
Yeah.
that
So,
star recruit just coming to Hampton there.
They,
if I may
yes.
interrupt, I mean, before you make your thing, I know because Southern, I know for a lot of people, y'all got a phenomenal band,
Yeah,
and
human
they
jukebox.
play a wide variety of tunes at games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they'll go from Love's Holiday to
Mm.
like the Yin Yang Twins
yes,
Right.
yep,
in the
yeah,
Right.
bandstand. So I'm sure that
yeah.
had to be like, oh, like we getting a wealth of Black star power music wise here, because they take no shorts. Like like I know for a lot of people, like because I grew up in that culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like the further south you go, band life gets very, very serious from about maybe North Carolina to maybe like Louisiana, like on through that wave of southern states. It's real
Yeah,
heavy and thick. Like,
100%,
like up
100%.
me and Ivan's way now is they kind of okay, but they don't it's not as
Right, like down here.
dominant. It's not as
Yeah.
dominant. So I'm sure that culture itself was something that
That was that was one thing that I noticed definitely. So they take the band very, very, very seriously, and of course, it's school, so they have the band guys and the band Greek associations, or so they
yeah.
have everything that's real serious there. So, but I noticed that they take that very seriously. But people will go to the football games till halftime and then leave. So that's all
No
they wait
doubt.
for.
Yep. Yeah.
All they wait for is the
Yeah.
band. They wait for the
Yep.
band. We're not here to
Yep.
watch football. You guys crazy.
And y'all had a good
Football.
team. That's
we
what's
did.
crazy.
We
Y'all had
did.
a
We
good
did.
team.
We did. We did. We had a good team and everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
people
very
will wait till
rarely do
halftime.
the Southern have, what I'm saying, like mediocre football teams, but that's odd that yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's
But yeah.
not odd, but yeah, like I mean I understand. I understand that.
hmm
Yeah.
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 So, but
So
yeah, it was definitely great. But let's see here. As I begin this,
Yeah.
um, I have to start this off with a little known fellow from Tappahannock, Virginia, who released his first album this year. Okay.
I know, dog. That's
Um,
cool. That's cool.
you know,
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
this album, this is Chris Brown, of course, his first album, self-titled, was still Sweet Innocent Chris. You know,
yes.
may
This is
may I
true.
have your hand tonight, Chris Brown? You know, versus the way he is now. The song I picked is "Your Man Ain't Me."
Ah.
This is when he's saying that he is a gentleman and a scholar, and her
Well,
boyfriend is less than. Um,
well,
so while he was a little better with the language and everybody else is writing the stuff, this this is a song that I still listen to. It's still a good album. It's still my favorite Chris Brown album. But "Your Man Ain't
Interesting.
Me," "Your Man
yeah.
Ain't Me" is is the song I choose.
Well, let's take a listen to that. And I have, this is cool. I'm glad you know, and I have something to say after we listen.
Hey girl, what's up? You been going through it, huh? Yeah, I know. And I know your man ain't been treating you right. But your man ain't me. Girl, I bet that he be acting all cocky like he deserves you. And you so lucky to be with him. Bet he be treating you rude, always got an attitude, like he's the only dude made for you. But I bet he didn't count on love like me coming round, giving you things to think about, cause I know what's up. Since he ain't trying to step it up, don't you think you should give him up? Cause he ain't worth the love. Stop tripping, I know you got a man, but girl, he's slipping. I can see myself getting in where I fit in. I want you to see just how much a man ain't me, cause he ain't fly, he don't even try. Cause when you wanna sneak out in the middle of the night, baby, I'm your guy. I'm a beast since he ain't being all that he can be. Baby, please, your man ain't me. Girl, I know that you be wishing he was nothing like that player type, and you so lucky to be with him. Wish that he treated you cool and didn't cheat on you, like you're just another girl in his crew. But I bet he didn't count on like me coming round, giving you things to think about, cause I know what's up, yeah. Since he ain't trying to step it up, don't you think you should give him up? Cause he ain't worth the love.
See why?
You need to stop tripping.
I see why you picked that.
Right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
no,
song.
that's great. I mean, it's whoever did, and see, that's bad by me. I didn't. Do you know who did the production on that? I should know, but
I can look. I'm in title right now. I can
okay.
look it up. But this whole album was written by other people. So
Yes.
this is produced by the Underdogs.
Yep.
Let's see.
Oh, that's
Yep.
what's the name of them kid?
Yeah. Mason, Harvey Mason,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
my man that was married to Kim Kardashian.
Who's that?
What's his name? Young, is it Damon Young?
Oh, I don't know. I
Yeah.
know he was married to one of them youngins. Okay.
Yeah, her first marriage.
Great. Okay, I'm not great.
I'm talking about this pre-tape, man.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. How many
this
times
way-
have y'all been married?
Yeah, she was like 19.
Great, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Now,
look
how
at
do I know these things? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I don't even
that's-
know how I know these things.
I didn't even know that. I was like, wait, what?
My
I know I
bad.
did. I mean, one thing about that song, I did. I know that did stand out to me. It did have that. I guess that typical. I guess for that time, that R&B ballad feel where it's got that background that.
Right.
And like I do remember teaching a year after that, and then students.
Oh, wow.
Liking all those,
Yeah.
pre-Ricky, Chris Brown type songs that had
right.
that
The Scream
feel
Tour
to
kind of
it.
people.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, had that. All the slow songs had that. Like every one of them back then.
And the
yeah,
double time vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah. against
Oh
a
my
boom.
god.
Yeah.
No,
It
I
was
like
like,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I
almost
like it.
like, I mean, yeah, every era has it, man. Like,
Yep.
we had New Jack Swing with
Oh,
ballads, so I
absolutely.
mean,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
it was just one of those things where now, like when you hear it, you'd be like, oh yeah, that was that
Mm-hmm.
era
Yep.
piece. So
Yeah. No, that
Yeah, man.
what
Great.
was I
That was
gonna
great
say? I
stuff.
mean, I think that's what I was gonna say. That's why I asked you about the production. But also,
yeah,
I mean, wow, I mean, like, what a oh, I know what I was gonna say. It's so interesting to like hear this and to like realize like Chris Brown, there are two people I would say in the last 15 years that have had I would say, the most influence on, I would say, mainstream R&B music.
mm,
That is Miss Knowles Carter
Yeah.
and Chris Brown. I'm not saying this to offend anyone. Like, there are great singers out there, male, great. But if you're talking about mainstream R&B, pretty much most of the people that we've seen over the last 15 years that reach a certain whatever, they're pretty much following Mr. Brown's whatever his template is. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm talking about like I'm not talking
James.
about no. Yeah, that's the
Everybody's
real
still following James.
yeah, that's the real Mr. Brown, without a doubt. But I mean, like, I just mean in the sense of I'm talking about like major label, really high profile youth movement,
Yeah,
R&B quote. I'm putting in quotes R&B music.
I would
It's
say that. Well, like we know that the industry from our era, Ivan, has
mhm,
changed. So
mhm,
it became
mhm,
very cookie cutter.
mhm,
So
mhm.
in terms of the I know some people will argue, well, that ain't saying a lot. It was like, well, in terms of what you're saying though, for
Mhm,
Suits at the
mhm.
record
Oh, I'm talking about
labels,
Suits. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
Suits are like saying, okay, well, this kid did well, so we want everybody to be like this kid.
I mean, right. I
And
mean,
okay, like this woman has done well, so we want
mhm,
everybody to follow this blueprint. So hey, like
mhm.
wear some short shorts in the video, show some skin, show this, dudes, do this, do this. Because I remember, it's funny you say that because I remember in 2000 the after effect of the Untitled video
Mhm,
with D'Angelo,
mhm,
and
mhm.
singers were saying that. Well, I know male singers were saying the industry people were putting it in their contracts where they had to maintain a certain say physique
Mhm.
to
Take your
be
shirt
able
off in the video, man.
to like
That's
be
the way.
marketable. And
Mhm.
so that if you notice, if you see videos pre Untitled, like
Right.
what you see versus post Untitled is
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, you can vastly see that effect. And so I think
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. So I think with Chris Brown, it because he had a certain level of like success
Oh
and
yeah.
it worked,
Yeah.
people wanted to, okay, well, let's just duplicate this. And then they looked at little things. Okay, well, you got to, dance and do this and do this and do
I,
this and do
I
this.
mean, yeah. And I mean, this is not I don't want if like these people are all going to even listen to this.
Yeah.
But
Oh, no, 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 no.
no, I mean like the people I'm about to mention,
Yeah.
and it's like no diss. Like this is, but the way I look at it is just you had Chris, and like you said, he danced, he had this, success. I mean, still having it, and you get Trey Songz, you get August Alsina,
You get
you
a
get
Neo.
Jacquees, you get
Yeah.
like you get neat. I mean, it's kind of like, and I'm not saying that they're clones, but it's just sort of like the suits have made them fit into a particular
Yeah.
aesthetic, and it's like wow, and it's like 15 years of that. It's
And
like
I would say Neo
whoa,
has, I would say,
yeah. I mean, he's
outside of
a
that bunch, he's kind of
yeah.
extended.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's a heck of a writer and a producer.
Yeah,
He's
like
on
he's
his
going beyond that
own.
aesthetic.
Yeah. Oh,
he,
yeah.
he,
He probably just used that to get in.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
I
yeah.
I I would say out of the bunch
Mhm.
that came out during that era, like at that particular time,
Yeah.
um, he's probably the more self-contained one.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's
you know, in
he can do
terms
Without a
he
doubt.
does it. Yeah, he does it.
of writing and doing other things. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you know, like no offense, I mean, man, none of those people, I think like that's nothing new. I think
No, it's not new at
everybody
all. It's
has
every
that
era. Hmm. Yep.
say, you know, I remember shoot, you know, like from our era, you could look at Al B. Sure and be like Christopher Williams. You can name some other people,
Hmm.
kind of, fell into that thing, even with you know, you got like Luther Vandross.
Hmm.
Next thing you know, man, you got Freddie Jackson, David
Hmm.
Peaston. You had all these
Hmm.
other cats
You
that,
got
people trying.
Prince and Giorgio. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, but
I'm
I mean, yeah, they
joking.
tried. No,
Mhm.
labels tried, but the only thing was
Mhm.
Prince kept changing every album every year. So it was like,
Right.
man, what is he doing now?
True.
I mean, they couldn't
Yeah.
keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't. So, I mean, you know, like when you look at like New Edition,
Hmm.
just
Oh,
what
they
they came
tried.
out of,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
4x4, all these
Perfect
other groups. Yeah,
gentleman.
perfect.
This, da,
Yeah,
da,
like
da. Yep.
New Kids.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so even In Sync, was born out of
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that, which birthed
Absolutely.
Justin Timberlake. So I
Yep.
mean, it does, like the exec that kind of thought of that. In some ways, it worked, but the numbers of success to failures are
Yeah.
low.
When was the last time you listened to O Town?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, come on, man.
Oh, my Old Town peeps. Shout out to my Old Town
Yeah,
peeps.
shout out to those town
Shout out
beats.
to
Friday night, ABC.
Like, come on, man.
Oh man, hey, and look, man, they got a TV show out there, deal.
Yeah.
I ain't be so mad at them.
Oh, I ain't
I mean,
mad at him.
and look, even that sparked a thing. Yeah, like making a band, making a
Yep.
band. I
Yep.
mean, it just,
Yep.
that's just standard
I mean,
industry practice
that gave us a classic.
everywhere. Yeah,
I spit hot fire. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. That's a standard industry practice.
Yep.
It's funny. Like me and a friend of mine always joke. We say like, you had a great movie and like Boomerang.
Yes.
I know Eddie Murphy, right? And that story has been remade and retold like
dude.
several years. It's like they just keep
They
telling
keep
it, keep
doing it.
telling it. You're like, man, this Boomerang again? But yeah, that's a standard industry practice,
Yes,
man. That's a
absolutely.
standard industry practice.
Yeah. After that, so yeah, thanks, so bra, for bringing that, because in the research I was like, oh yeah, that is the year.
That's the year.
And anybody who's heard me, whatever, I say it all the time. I've said it for years. It's like, oh, this is BC. This is before Chris, or oh, this is BB. This is before Beyonce, and all. But anyway, anyway, cool stuff. Yeah.
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 It's funny. Even it's even funny. Like even with the Beyonce thing, I used to tell my students all the time when they would be like, "Oh, Mr. Wyatt, you don't like." I was like, "No," I said, "I just kind of seen this before."
Right. Yeah, that's all it is. It's not a
I'd be like, like I grew up through Janet and Madonna. I was like, I've kind of seen
this.
I've seen this. You know what I'm saying? And so, everyone has their run and their turn, so it's all good.
Absolutely.
and then
I mean, we got Paula Abdul out of that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
yeah.
Paula.
And then our parents told us, I've seen this before with Shaka
yeah.
Khan and Tina Turner.
Yep.
And so we've seen this.
That's just how it's just how it works.
Yeah,
It's really
that's how
just
it goes,
works.
man.
Yeah,
I mean, so and then it's funny. Each one takes it further than what the previous one, had done it. So yeah, that's kind of funny.
I'm interested now to see what you guys picked.
Oh, okay. All right, so it's on me.
It is on you, sir.
It's on me.
We'll pass the mic.
Well, I'm a give a soft pitch. I know to one of y'all because I was kind of chosen. I know between these two songs,
Okay.
I was gonna pick "Touch the Sky" by Kanye West because I like Lupe Fiasco's.
Oh yeah,
verse.
yeah.
But it's Kanye, and I can't do it.
Okay.
So I'm a soft pitch that one to one of y'all. I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Dope song though. Nice sample of Curtis Mayfield.
Oh, dude.
Of like Move On Up. But
that's the first. Wasn't that on the first episode?
No. That. Oh, was it?
No. Which one did I do? Doo-doo-doo. I'll keep on pushing. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
My bad. No.
Oh yeah, no problem. But anyone y'all want to take that one? Hey, soft pitching it to you. But Lupe, shout out to Lupe because that's when Lupe kind of came out. That was introduced to the world. But one of my favorite MCs had a bounce back in 2005. A lot of people had kind of slept on him and said he had gotten a little weird. And so he had to take it back to the corner. And so I'm giving my pick is Common's, from Common's B album. It was the first single, The Corner, with the Last Poets. That.
Hey, Kanye snuck on one too, man.
Yeah, but that ain't his song. I don't want no association or no affiliation with dudes wearing "Make America Great Again."
Oh my God!
Can't do it.
We hit a left, people. We hit a left.
Can't do it.
Let's check it out.
Can't do it.
I think he loves her again.
Yeah.
Memories on corners with the foes and the moles. Walk to the store for the rolls, talking straightforward to hoes. Got uncles that smoking, some put blow up their nose to cope with the lows. The wind is cold and it blows. In they socks and they soles, niggas holding they rolls. Corners leave souls opened and closed, hoping for more with nowhere to go. Niggas rolling in droves, they shoot the wrong way cause they ain't knowing they goes. The streets ain't safe cause they ain't knowing the code. By the foes I was told either focus or fold. Got cousins with flows, hope they open some doors. So we can not close and roll in the rolls. Now I roll in the O's with windows that don't roll. Down the roads with cars get broken and stole. These are the stories told by Stony and Cottage Grove. The world is cold, the block is hot as a stove on the corners.
I wish I could get this feeling. I wish I could get this feeling. On the corners, niggas robbing, killing, dying just to make a living.
We overstated, we underrated, we abdicated. The corner was our time when time stood still in gators and snakeskins and yellow and pink and powder blue profiles glorifying the
street lights and deep nights. Cats trying to eat right, riding those seat bikes with work to feed heights so they can keep sweet nights. They head in they feet right. Desires of street life, cars and weed types. It's hard to breathe nights. Days are thief like the beast roam the streets. The police is Greek like game at his peak. We speak and believe.
I hope we don't get shut down.
Bang in the streets, hats got left a deep
hot.
right. It's steep like.
Yeah, we got shut down last week.
No. Oh yeah.
On YouTube.
Oh yeah, because of the stuff. Yeah.
Because of Hove. Thanks, Hove.
Yeah.
It's all
Oh
good.
yeah.
It's all
Oh
good.
yeah.
No, I tease. It
And then
doesn't.
for all the old Kanye fans out there, okay, I know y'all say there's a difference between old Kanye and post Kim Kardashian Kanye. I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
There is, man. The whole album was start to finish.
You talking about B
great.
or
I'm talking about B.
Yeah.
B. Well, both of them really, but B. That's a big part of my music library in 2005 as well. I used to run that.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That was that was actually, man, I guess we could do it in terms of pre-Katrina, post-Katrina. That was pre-Katrina. So
That's right. Yep.
and it was one of those I think that year, because this was coming off of an election that fall.
Yes,
in
it
which
was.
In which we had kind of gotten, bamboo
was.
again.
Well, we're backing Bush because he's about family values.
Yeah.
So, for the kids. George Bush for the kids. No.
Yeah. And so there was still this as the OJs and Gambling Huff used to say, there were still messages in the music.
Dude.
Yeah. Depending on what music say you got, but like Ivan said earlier, no, it's not that it wasn't there. You're not looking in the right spot or tuned into the right frequency for it. And then that was one of the ones in the midst of a lot of I don't want to say fluff because I don't want to disrespect anybody.
No
It
disrespect. No disrespect.
yeah, no,
Riley.
it was just a lot. It was kind of like, like you're riding down the street and you're seeing all the fast food spots, and then over in the corner there's just little vegan food truck. B was the vegan food truck with,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying, the stuff that, oh yeah, this is good for you and all that, but you got to go past all the, McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger Kings and Popeye's chickens and Chick-fil-A's and all that stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, it's there. And so I mean,
then you get in and you gotta wait 15 minutes for you.
Yeah.
But you don't even complain.
You get it though.
It's like, it's good.
yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. And then and then you got it, and like, later you were like, like a week later, month later, 6 months later, you say, oh yeah, this joint is still like 20, almost 20 years later, you're like, hey, this joint is still like, hey, this joint is, whereas something else that was big then, like Laffy Taffy, people are like, oh, I can't believe we made this famous, or I can't believe we did a dance on this, so
I mean, well, we'll get to that at some point, some year, but that opened the door for something a few years later.
Yeah.
That guy's still around.
Oh, Little John.
No, I mess with him.
You like Lil John?
Yeah, actually, I love Lil John. No, I'm talking about. No, I actually love. I love him. No, I'm talking about Soulja Boy. Like, we're prepping.
Yeah.
We're prepping for the MySpace era. We're almost there, full on.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I'm glad you selected that. I had two quick anecdotes about Common, about the Last Poets. Very super fast, and then I'll play what I have. My first one. My mother, the nephew's grandma, she don't know nothing about hip hop. But somehow Common is her favorite rapper. So I'll just leave that there. I'm like,
says enough.
Guy? Yeah,
says
that
enough.
guy, I love him.
Says enough.
I know who you're talking about. And then the other thing, quick anecdote I wanted to drop on everyone. Yes, he's been affiliated with that Red Hat thing, but I'm not sure if he's all the way in. But I just like to put things in context, and this is just something for you to consider. Jimmy J.J. Walker, we love from Good Times, began his career with the Last Poets.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, he would go out at these Last Poet joints to tell jokes and what it's wild, dude. Like, I think it was an interview, that I watched on YouTube where he talked about his beginnings and how he was all up in the Black Power. Well, clearly.
Really?
Yeah. And it's
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just wanted to drop that little anecdote because
say what happened, brother?
I will.
180.
Yeah. Like, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, that was just a little factoid, a little trivial thing. So
okay.
Now y'all can shake your head at me because
here comes the big guy. I got one.
I do have one. You gonna
Layla Hathaway.
See, there you go. I mean, it could be, but no. But you're gonna be like, oh, he's still on his R&B stuff. He's the hater. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. I'm gonna play this quick. You'll be like, oh yeah, I heard this once.
Okay. Brian McKnight. Okay. Yeah.
You could have predicted that one.
Don't let the words get in the way.
Who happens to have a new album out right now? I think it came out like 2 weeks ago. Who knew? But it's good. I listen to it.
There's something I must get straight, baby. Always you here stays here. I'm telling you 'cause I wanna make it clear. It's only 'cause I
Poor T-Pain.
Hey, guys.
Listen to that chorus.
Fits right then.
Yeah.
Let me buy you a drink.
That's funny.
Yeah, you know, so y'all could have predicted that one. I don't have to play too much more of that. You would, I mean, that makes that makes sense, you know.
Yeah, that was his if I'm not mistaken, that was his album where he used like a lot more live instruments than he previously had.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
I
that's
remember really
Gemini.
digging that one. That's
Yeah,
it.
the
Yeah.
Gemini
Yeah,
record.
that was yeah, for some reason I don't know why radio really didn't jump on that. I think he had a situation. Something happened.
I think so. Yeah.
And something happened, and so they didn't jump on. But yeah, but that was a good album, man. Like that was one of his I mean, like Brian never has been lacking like in the musical department, but there were times where I thought he was trying to do the trendy thing, and I was like, nah, man, do the organic thing. Yeah, like do the live instrument thing, because that's what people.
Oh man,
like that's where you shine the best. And I do remember after, because honestly, I think that was the first album of his that I liked more of since the first album. Like the ones in between, I was kind of like, but this one was like straight through. I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of feeling this one. Like this one wasn't trendy because, like you said, this was pre some stuff. I think this might have been. Was this pre-Kim? Pre-Kim's first one?
No.
Was this pre-Love Calls, post-Love Calls?
I think it's post.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because isn't Love Calls like, is that 03, 04, somewhere in there? It's the early 2000s.
I might say 04.
Okay, I know it's in the early.
But it could be 05. I mean,
Okay.
But see, my point is, if it's pre that, then you kind of see where he was on to something. Maybe should have stayed there. If it was post, then one could argue that, okay, well, he saw something. Like, oh, I could do that.
Well, I think they were label mates at the time, because
on
Brian
Motown.
was on Motown for a minute.
Okay.
Let me see. Is this one on Motown? Yeah, he was on Motown. I mean, not that. Well, I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, we think of that in the old days, like, hey, everybody's in the building. Hey,
so the first Kim album was pre-05. The second Kim album was 05.
Oh, that, yeah. Oh, what's the joint I like that has a really cool saxophone solo? Yeah, that album, that's dope. Where he has the video, he has the cool house.
Yeah.
I Can't Stop Loving You.
Yeah, I just can't stop. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see where that could be like, hey man, I could fit in that lane.
I'll be honest with y'all. I couldn't hear any of that through my headband that was over my head. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,
I was not checking. I was not checking.
Oh man.
That's funny. I remember seeing you. I remember seeing you, young ruffians.
Yeah,
when I went to Willow Lawn.
I was not checking at all for Brian McKnight or Kim. I was deep in my snap. I'll be honest with you. It's a good song though, and I have heard it that one time.
Yeah, but you know what's funny?
I was gonna say like one time.
I know me and Ivan joke. Well, like we talked about this previous times. I know before, but we were saying how like in our era of high school, like the late '80s, it was not uncommon to see a cat or people navigate from I could rock to LL, but then I could rock to Sade too, or I could rock to somebody like like Run DMC, but I also dug Prince. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think with your era, Josh, it kind of became like defined. Like
much more so.
I'm not listening to Brian McKnight or Kim. I mean, say not so much as like I think it just unconsciously lines were drawn, meaning people were just drawing lines, not really knowing why they're drawing lines. Almost like I'm supposed to draw a line. This isn't, You know,
Right.
those are for my parents, not for me. Not realizing that no, like music is for everybody, and you can kind of like vibe into it.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like you know, like it wasn't on my radar, like it wasn't, which is kind of odd because if you had gone maybe 10, 15 years earlier, someone your age probably at that time would have been like the same person would have been like, I listen to NWA in the day, but I chill to Sade at night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Or say, and so like that would not have been uncommon. Like had you I think the same person listening to Gangsta and Dope Man knew about Stronger Than Pride.
No doubt. That was
You know what I'm
me.
saying? Yeah, I mean, like the same people that knew like De La Soul, like me, myself, and I knew like You Give Good Love. I know about Whitney Houston, or something of that nature. So
yeah, and I like to think of myself as a little eclectic nowadays, but at that point in time, I was one or the other. I was in my dorm, and I could imagine my boys busting in and hearing me playing some Brian McKnight, and that'd be the end, man. That'd be it.
Listen to.
Yeah,
I was the same way. Like like we talked about. I mean, I would do. It would be stuff I listened to, but yeah, shoot, man. In high school or in early college, man, if it won't like you said, the aforementioned, like whether it be PE, Boogie Down, EPMD, Kane, and that's one set, and then I'm listening to a ton of Go-Go, like later for Freddie Jackson. Like that was it won't happen.
Yeah,
no disrespect to Freddie, because I love Freddie, but I'm just saying like it's a mind state. Like you're like it's a balloon mind state.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Plus, I'm aware of the era of Quiet Storm Radio and Slow Jam. Mixtapes. Before they were mixtapes, it was just Slow Jam tapes.
Yep.
So it was kind of almost unwritten. Okay, it's after 9.
Oh yeah, then I go to.
Let's slow this down.
I'll get back to to our second picks. My bad, but I always thought it'd be fun to like do a thing where you just make fun of those people, and you just have like you play music and then you just go between the songs. You just go. Because that's what it sounds like sometimes. Like, what are you saying?
For all you cats and kittens out there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Cats and kittens.
You know what I'm saying? I know you're thinking of somebody.
Oh, God.
Call us in and give us a song dedication for who you're thinking of. This is going out to nephew Josh at 7. We know you can't play this. Yeah. This is
ready for the world. Like, Lord, what you got for us next? Number 2.
Okay. All right. So this is once again I attribute most of my hip hop love to these 3 brothers right here. This is Little Brother. Okay. This is Fonte, Big Pooh, and Ninth Wonder. Okay. The Minstrel Show dropped in 2005, and I still listen to it till this day. Okay.
Yes, sir.
It was almost impossible for me to pick a song, but the song I picked was Hiding Place.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no. Let me switch that. I'm gonna go with Not Enough. How about that?
Okay. Is that the album? I know with Good Clothes on it.
That is not the one with Good Clothes.
Okay.
That's
the one after one. Okay.
Yeah, the one right after.
Okay.
Wow.
But,
I got something to say about this. Yeah.
The Minstrel Show. Yeah.
Oh, what? All right. Not Enough.
Not Enough was the one that I picked.
Okay.
Just because I wanted to hear Fonte rap. They always start with Big Pooh.
Now, who's this? He's great. He is great.
Yeah.
Let's check it out.
One time for your mind, one time for your mind. Check it. I'm really at a loss of words, man. I don't know what else I can say. I mean, dope beats, dope rhymes. Hip hop ain't really that hard, man. I'm doing what I can do, man. What else y'all want, We spent the last year writing rhymes, doing shows and chopping records, and traveled all around the world to spread the message. Cause ain't no rest for the weary when it comes to my team. We only sleep on December the 32nd. DJs dissing the album before they check it, dealing with their managers and program directors. And even though I try not to stress it, sometimes it feels like a waste of time and not worth the effort.
Nah, but I won't let it. Put a block on my team, hustle for a second. Who be keep it rushing as long as Tay and I on the mic and Ninth is on percussion. These frontin' dudes can't say nothing. It was only time for we finally spoke out. Plenty cold nights ahead. I suggest you get your coats out. No time to stand here, lips pulled out. We about to close out that stored up doubt and keep it moving.
Seems like whatever I do, it's not enough for you. I paid the cost and gave you my all, but you still want more. I'm still standing right here, but it seems so unfair that I sacrifice and give you my life, but you
Been
still
a long time
want
coming,
more.
but damn, we just made it. So much to discuss, so frustrated. Yes, I must say that the industry lost touch. Radio better play this, cause taste style is nuts and y'all's is just dated. It's history in the making. When I write, it's for all the NC. Called me the state pen, and now I'm making my name for those who hate that I'm staking my claim, just like nationwide radio. Them suckers never play us. Took our wax to the station and they straight played us. That's how the game got contaminated. And now they saying we at fault like the San Andreas.
And they still trying to play us, but not spin the record of disc. I got a fire burning deep that would not.
Man.
Nah, that guy, fine. Shout out to that's a Teddy Pendergrass sample, right? I don't know the song. I think it's I'll try to look it up.
Shout out to those North Carolina Central
Yeah, man. Durham.
University alum, you know, so HBCU brothers. Man, you know, it's funny. That was a great pick. I get it, because I remember their ascension, and I remember back in the OK Player message boards days from, you know, like that was honestly the pre MySpace, pre Facebook and IG, the spot to go to, and people would talk. And I remember Questlove, kind of putting him on and bigging him up, and that was a thing. And so I know for some people who may not, who think, well, why they tripping on that album, like of that group or whatever, like you got to remember this, in this particular year alone, we had like D4L with Laffy Taffy.
Yes.
You had them Franchise Boys. You had the Yin Yang Twins.
Yeah.
You had, I think Lil Bow Wow was still making songs like,
Lil Bow Wow, Steven Seagal.
Let Me Love You. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So there, like Mike Jones was out then.
Who
you know
is
what I'm
Mike
saying?
Jones?
So Webby had, it was like, and these people I'm naming.
Chicken Noodle Soup?
Was that the same?
Was that this year? That year?
No,
Chicken Noodle Soup with a soda on the side?
I don't know, but Webby's song was like Give Me That. I don't know, man. I think Ray J was still making music.
One
Like
Wish, bruh.
Was out.
Wish.
You know what I'm saying? So, Jeezy had just come out. So it was like a lot of stuff. Like T.I. was slowly on his ascension.
What, the Rubber Band Man?
Yeah.
No, he was other stuff, but yeah.
He was let me think, what song did T.I. have?
It was that's the I'm Serious album, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm a King.
Mm-hmm.
It was that album. So it was kind of like, a lot was kind of going on. Like I think The Game was coming out to represent.
Yep.
I know the West Coast. So for those of us in that community that were backpack rappers, or I think wanted something with like a little more substance. Man, like Lil Brother didn't disappoint.
Right.
Dude.
And so again, I hate to use this like analogy, but I am. You're riding down the street, you're hungry,
I'm pulling
and
in.
everybody, and like everybody pulling over to the spots, and you see this spot over in the corner where they like, like this spot over here is like it. You got to go there, and like you said, the line is long, and the prices may be a tad bit higher.
Don't matter.
You can get some cheaper somewhere else, but you go there, and then you're like, oh my God, this is like the best ribs and you know what I'm saying, and collard greens I done had in a long time, and then you telling people, and then everyone that eats there is like, yeah, that's pot is this. It's kind of like that, like with little brother, like like you don't hear their name, but when you mention them, people are like, oh yeah, it's,
I was waiting for this. I knew somebody's gonna bring them brothers. But I remember that was it the summer or the fall? Did that drop? I mean, I can look it up, but also for you sample heads, I had to look it up. It is Teddy. Easy, take it easy. So shout out, and I know brother the great Kenny Gamble sometimes checks on our content because we check out his and show love. So Philly Soul, Philly International, love
yeah,
to
like
you.
But they had a lot of things working. I know for them, man, because people were really kind of getting into Ninth Wonder. And hey, man, I know. Well, Rob, let me ask you this, because I know what it's like going to HBCU, being in a dorm.
Yes.
and like I know sometimes how you get. I know for like when I was at Virginia State, we had got a lot of East Coast people from like New York, Jersey, and so on. So I can imagine that Southern, you guys got a lot of that Texas West type thing. So like, how did some brothers from North Carolina make it way over there? Because I mean, generally people, from, I mean, like you just don't find people, I'll say from maybe Atlanta up to maybe Maryland or Philly going as far south as Southern, unless it's for like an athletic type deal. I mean, whereas you don't find many people from west of Alabama, swinging over to, like this side. So, like, how did they make it? Like I'm saying, like, I'm sure like y'all got some people that may be from like, like from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, it's people from everywhere, like at all schools, but I'm just saying, like, primarily, like it could have been somebody from North Carolina who came to Southern, but just
the crazy part of it is that I did not get little brother from school. I wasn't at Southern when I got put on. I was at work at Sears and Roebuck.
No doubt.
I had a older coworker, maybe 5-10 years older than me, but he was deep in there, And he was like, hey man, I got this tape here. You got to listen to it. So I heard about little brother from a born and raised person from Baton Rouge. So it wasn't all the cultures mixing. It was somebody who was just on the boards and listening.
So what was the response like when you took it back to Southern?
Oh man, it was great. I put all my boys on. My boys still follow Fonte around today like I do.
Oh really? Okay, that's what's up, man. Yeah. I mean, man, that is sometimes the beauty of dorm life, and sometimes going to a HBCU, because for one thing, your school is probably located somewhere where the radio station comes in faint. And if it's the school, so the mainstream radio station is not, it's kind of faint. So like you're missing out on some things that could dilute your growth or dilutes, I know, your choices. Sometimes you're at a spot where your school could have a radio station, like Virginia State did. But at that time, like when I was there, they didn't play hip hop. So it was what people just kind of had around. And sometimes you just be in your room and hear somebody bumping something in the hall. Oh, wow, what is that? Or like you go to somebody's room and then hear somebody like, man, so what's that? So, like you get put on in, say, a lot of ways that you may have not, had some other things kind of been taking your attention away, like you might have missed. So that's cool.
That's very cool. And I just want to say real quick on this one, why I smile so much about, and that's why I asked whether or not it was when it came out, because sometimes that year runs together for me. Like, anyway, but this is what I remember so much about that iconic cover and the record itself. Some kind of way, this is like, I'm on iTunes. So this is like iTunes era. and it just kept. It was like calling me. It's like the minstrel show, like little brother. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta check this out. But it was just so cool. That's one of the first projects I can remember, kind of like seeing from a not a video, not radio thing, but actually looking at iTunes every day when you're syncing the iPod or whatever you're doing, and it's like, who is this little who? And from that, then choosing to check it out, and then of course loving it because I had the same reaction. I was like, yo, these dudes, this not like what I'm hearing right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Plus the skits on that thing were like classic.
Great, good stuff.
The skits are classic. The skits are classic.
Oh,
You can never
man.
forget.
I love it.
Yeah.
What you got next for us, the Ricker?
Man, okay, I gotta slow it down because nephew did the first slow song, so I gotta do.
Oh.
Man, 2005, I was beyond myself when I got this
Oh.
project because I had been waiting. I think their last output was maybe fall 2000, and people
Okay.
thought that they were done. And I went to a show in DC, maybe late 04.
Oh, I know what you're done. Okay.
And they were like, yeah, so we got some new stuff coming. And it was packed. Like the place was jam packed. Like DC showed them mad love. And it was just like, okay, I'm not the only one that's missing this. And so that spring, it was, you saw the hype. It was like they were coming back and everybody, it was kind of a slow build because people were like, oh, yeah, those guys. But Mint Condition came back. And I remember that album was Living the Luxury Brown. And I'm going to go with the single from that because I know that was a radio staple. It was I'm Ready. And it was just that classic Mint ballad because, Mint has always given you great ballads. But they give you the musically, they give it all to you, but they always did great with the ballads, man. And I just remember being like that's one of my favorite bands, and I just remember being like, oh God, they're back, thank you.
Yes, they are pretty awesome.
I was like the stars aligned and everything worked out, and I was getting worried, man. And so because again, like this was a time where there was no MySpace, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, like none of this stuff, Facebook, and none of this stuff was around. So you didn't get these, updates or day-to-day things or things like that. It was just you look up and like, wait a minute, hey, such and such hadn't put out an album in a while. Then a year turned to 5 years.
Yeah. Yep.
And they weren't being seen and around. And so and I remember when I got that notice for them doing a show, I remember somebody was like, yeah, they don't have nothing new. I said, I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
I don't care. Like they have at least 4 albums for me, so I'm good with that. And I remember going and just like it was amazing, man. Like I think they had done like pop-up shows, and like DC was one of the pop-up spots, and it was jam packed, and people were like loving it. And to listen to them on a disc or something is one thing, but to see them live is completely different because they just a completely different thing. And so if you've ever seen them, then like what I mean. And so seeing them, man, and they were happy to be seen, and it was cool, man. But yeah, they said like that night, like, we got this new song here, y'all check it out. And it was I'm Ready. They were like, yeah, it's coming out this spring, our new album. People just lost it, like, man, where y'all been? It was great, man. It was great. So
I love it. I'm Ready by them Mint Cats. So I had to pull from a different vault. So let's see if this is gonna work. No, it's all good.
Hey, yo sé que está.
Yeah, I don't like that vault. Wait a minute. That was the Spanish version. You know what I'm saying?
been on my mind. Been such a big influence in my life. I know you called on me, yet I said I had no time. I was frontin' on you, I must have been blind. Come over here, my dear. Gotta get close to your ear, 'cause I wanna make it clear that all my fears are gone. I'm ready for the that you've been talking about. I'm ready, won't you try and remove my cloud? I'm ready for a place safe to follow my heart, 'cause loneliness now in the world is off the charts. I'm ready for the way you wanna rub my back. I'm ready for what happens in the sad. I'm ready to put day in, 'cause I've had enough. I'm ready for this morning, girl, tonight. Player, man, I was in my zone, in my freaky world, anything was on. But when I met you, girl, you were like a mirror. Only you made me see things deeper and much clearer about the man inside. Who always tried to hide from real intimacy in his life. Now all my fears are gone. People always said to me that when I meet her, I'll know. 'Cause when you look in her eyes and touch her hand, you won't let her go.
Yeah.
Be a fool to
Man, what a that sounds like classic Mint.
Man, look, that was I don't know if you remember, Ivan, but that's when we used to joke at rehearsal and be like, "Oh my God, a key change, a bridge." Like, yeah,
How do you
yeah,
do
man.
these things?
Man,
Yeah,
that was
were they on? They were off. What you call it by then?
Oh,
I
yeah.
know. Now I
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I know about when off the first off. When they go
Yeah.
from perspective to what was it?
It was like Electra or
Yes.
something like that.
Yep. When
The
they did
Electra.
Life's Aquarium.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is
This
this
is
is
the
them.
independent. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is them.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Mhm.
had I mean again, like if you think about what R&B was at that time, even though like Gemini was out, you had Kim out, and Mint, you still had like the Pussycat Dolls, and, like 112 and them were doing their thing. And so it was a lot of
I was about to play them.
as as Sinbad would say, there were no bands. There were like no
No,
bands.
no, I want no bands.
No bands. So, the fact that you saw some brothers playing instruments and was like, wow, this is so refreshing. And I mean, sometimes I'm sure like as like as like a musician playing an instrument, you get kind of, I don't want to say jaded, but you kind of just think like, okay, only musicians dig this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then like when I went to that show in DC, and I mean, it was literally, man, like when I mean y'all, it was packed. I mean, it was packed to the rafters in that thing. And like dudes and females were screaming and jumping. I was like, okay, so it's not just a musician thing. You know what I'm saying? Like people just,
Yeah.
I mean, people enjoy real music and real good music. So
Yep, I had a conversation about that very thing last night. I always had that conversation, but it's like the whole notion of like you have suits and you have people who have millions of dollars to have budgets to make decisions, and they're always like, "Yeah, this is what the people want," and you often say to yourself, "What people? Like, who are these people you're talking
Yeah.
about?" Because same thing happened to me when I went to the Raphael Sadiq show, a couple of months back. I'm like, oh, it's only gonna be
Yeah,
packed,
exactly. Yeah, it's packed. Yeah,
and people knowing the songs, and even the new material, loving the
yeah,
songs, knowing the lyrics, whatever. And it's like, so is it that these things become popular because that's what's forced down our throats, or is it because who knows?
yeah,
But
yeah.
that sounded. The reason I made a comment about that sounding like classic Mint. It's almost like, I mean, Life's Aquarium. I liked it. I had it. I still
Yeah.
play tunes from it from time to time, but it felt like at certain points they may have been, because there's that pressure. It's
No,
like
yeah, when you
I
do the
don't hear
radio
any
thing.
hits.
Yeah, there's it's like it's like it's one song I think that has that like double time beat that like Timberland and them were
It
doing
does.
it.
It's is that
And
pain or pleasure or it's one of
uh
them. It's
I think
something.
it's the first one, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, even in the midst of that, because yeah, I think I remember thinking that like when I bought that
Mm-hmm.
when it came out, thinking like, oh man, they did something for the trying to kind of be mainstream, but then you get gems on there like in a joint with Charlie Wilson,
Absolutely.
you
Pretty
know,
lady or
yeah,
something.
Pretty
Yeah.
Lady, yep,
Yeah.
and you get the joint on there, this day, this
Oh,
minute,
that's oh,
man,
dude.
that's
Woo.
yeah,
That's I have to
that
listen to that
if
today. Yeah,
yeah,
freaking.
that joint is like and
Mm-hmm.
even still I mean the single off that was Classic Man, If You Love Me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you said, like sometimes the suits kind of say, hey, give us our study show that the urban youth are liking these triple beats and people are rhyming to, and you say, hey, but we don't do that. Okay, well, hey,
What are you gonna do it today?
yeah. I mean,
Or for
so
one song.
and so they did it, but then like even with that album, like if you take that or if you listen like to the rest of it, it's like smoking. It's like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish Eyes.
Oh, I
You know
love
what I'm
that
saying?
tune. Yeah, that's one of my
Like all
favorites.
those tunes, man. Yeah. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I think at that um that was when I started to realize like when they came back and people were really hyped, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a radio hype, it was like a word of mouth hype. I'm sorry.
Oh, you
It
good? Yeah.
it was like a word of mouth hype, and it was like everyone who was kind of who just had a certain quality of music were like, yeah, Mint's back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
kind
mess
of
with
get
that.
into it because they came to Richmond later that summer for
Oh, for the Kanawha joint?
mhm.
Yeah, cool.
And they were
Yeah.
and then there again. Now I seen them in DC, and it was a Friday on Richmond outside in the summertime. Boy, let me tell you something. People were everywhere, and man, Richmond ain't that big. People were. I think every black person in Richmond was down there that night because it was like. Not only were I mean not just inside the spot to see them, but
Just
Ivan,
out. Yeah.
yeah, if you're down there, you can still hear. So people were like on parking decks, on top of buildings. It was like they did,
I
man. I
love it.
mean, they came and like if you were anywhere other than there that night, I mean, boy, you were considered a lame, and that's old Atlanta term. You were lamed out. You was somewhere else that night
Oh
because
man.
I mean, even if you just went and you just sat outside, like you just got your little chair, you sat by your car, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna listen. I ain't gonna pay to go in. It was everybody was there, man.
Oh
Everybody
wow.
was there that night.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit. So I'm gonna ask y'all forgiveness.
Uh-oh.
Because this tune is
Man, you
not
playing the Pussycat Dolls, man.
that's my last pick. But ever. It's like last pick, show's over. No.
Yeah. Don't you wish you
Love that joint.
me?
Hot. No, I'm going to cheat a little bit because this song is not technically 2005.
Oh, okay. It came out December.
Well, not even really that, but like I told you, I was in a weird space.
Oh,
So
okay.
like the years ran together, but it's kind of close. And
Okay.
this is the first song that made me realize, yeah, I think it is. So it wasn't on a major, but it wasn't on it wasn't strictly independent. It was kind of like a, mid-major, large independent TVT, which TVT put a lot of stuff out. So
Oh,
I
okay.
mean, maybe they were major. I don't know. But anyway, it made me realize it was like, oh, so there are people making cool stuff that I just don't know about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I ever heard this song on the radio. Ever. But maybe I did once. But anyway, however I found this song, you'll know exactly when I start playing it. And it's got the coolest sample of Ahmad Jamal. So
Oh, okay.
that might give you a hint once you hear the opening chords.
Oh, Oh yeah, Tidra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Don't know if you got a
yeah,
Don't
I had
mean
to
to
seek this one out.
disrespect the
yeah.
thoughts of you rule my
I ain't mad at
world.
that.
I even
I ain't mad
dream
at
of
that.
you, I swear. Visions of you and I. See you all around my way. Been meaning to say hi, but I'm just way too shy. I gotta make you see this is more than just a silly crush. I wonder if you even notice me. You
Got you
gotta
stuck off the
feel
realness. Oh no, my bad.
me. Would love you good. Just wanna be your girl. All alone at night, I harbor feelings for you. Holding my pillow tight. Sometimes I even touch myself. Imagining your pleasure, baby. Next time I see you, I'm gonna walk right up to you and say what's on my
Yeah,
mind.
that's just some.
I gotta make
That's the hip hop R&B melding that I love.
Man, yeah, that
That kind
that
of.
man. Let me tell you that album. Yeah, that's whoo,
Yeah,
boy. That's
complex simplicity.
yeah, that joint. You know, shout out to my youngest sister. She put me onto that. We were driving home to Atlanta.
Oh,
I
that's
was picking her up
awesome.
from like Virginia State, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm listening to Teacher," and I was like, "Who?"
Right.
And so, you know, I'm sure, you know, y'all know, you know, it's something about like when you're road tripping and then but you in the highway and then you're listening to certain songs,
Yeah.
they have a better effect as opposed to you sitting in the house, you know,
Yep.
doing stuff. And so
Yep.
I remember, man, that might be, you know, in terms of female artists, probably one of the best of that little run of wave in there, man, because that joint is like, yeah, she came with it on that one, man. I remember seeing ads and Vibe for like, wow, that's a dope album cover. I never, you know, just like, wow, that's a dope album cover. But then when I heard it, I was like, man, I mean, it was something that wasn't and I'm gonna say it wasn't Erica and Jillish.
No, it wasn't. It
You know what I'm
wasn't.
saying?
No,
And
it
then it
wasn't.
wasn't Mary J. Blige's.
She had her own thing. I mean, she
It was in
has
her
her own
own
thing.
lane. Yeah, it was her own lane. And I remember I reading a review or maybe an interview that she did, and she was saying that somebody said that it reminded her of the early Sherelle stuff that Jamie Lewis I know had done. And I was
Okay.
like, okay, I can kind of see
I
that. But
kind of
yeah,
see
man, there's a matter of fact, I think of that song. There's a remix
that. It is. There is a
with
remix.
her, Raphael Sadiq, and Truth Hurts with
Yeah.
Juicy. That is like
Oh yeah, I
killer.
remember that remix. Yep.
That
Now
joint
that
is
you.
killer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to,
She has her own thing.
yeah, man. Shout out to Tidra because she still I know she still does shows and stuff, man.
Oh yeah, and still making music, and she like I said, she does her own thing, and she has her own kind of
Yeah.
which I think is cool, like philosophy around life and other things. She's actually born there, but moved from New Orleans.
Yeah,
But but ended up in LA or whatever. But
I would say, man, that's like, you know how if they say, man, there's certain albums that you should have, I would encourage like most young ladies. I mean, you know, like if you gotta, Control, you know, maybe What's the 411, maybe, you know, okay, some would argue My Life, but I'm gonna say What's the 411, and I would say like this one is one of those type albums where, like, you know, I mean, you won't be disappointed. Like if you get it, you know, I mean, and that's coming from a male. I'm saying that,
right.
You know, like on all, you know, she covered all based on this lyrically and musically, man. Because she did some stuff with Sadiq, like, you know, where they done some stuff together, man. And so I always kind of like after this, like this made me kind of like always kind of keep my eye out for her. and what she
Absolutely.
was done, man. And this is that joint is, if you don't have it, or it's definitely a must get, stream on your platform, download it, or say what have you, man. She kind of came with it on this one.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Hey, shout out to my two sisters for putting me on it out there.
Yes, and shout out to your sisters anyway, because I see I see them show up on the grown folks joint, and I get giddy. I was like, it's Rick's sisters. That's awesome. Liking and sharing that. That's awesome. Like
Oh
seriously,
yeah,
that's the
thank you, man.
coolest
Yeah,
thing. That is the
yeah.
coolest thing. So we're down to our last picks, and
And, and, and
I
look, I gave
really
you the soft pitch now.
I know I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what this is going to be.
I gave you the soft pitch.
It's got to be a headband, a big T-shirt, and some big
Oh,
jeans.
man. Oh, man.
No, I'm not even gonna do that to y'all.
What?
See, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that to y'all. Wait, do I get one more after this, or
Yes,
is
yes,
this
you
it?
get the
Okay.
what is it? The honorable mention, the
Yeah.
slept
Oh, okay.
on. Yep, you sure do.
All right. So I am gonna take your pitch. All right. I'm not gonna pick the same song here,
Okay,
but I'm gonna
okay.
pick that album. I am going to Kanye West. This is We Major. As Kanye featuring Nas and a couple other folks. But Kanye's album, the Late Registration album, was humongous. He had a run, man, where it was between College Dropout, Late Registration, and Graduation, and then like maybe 4 or 5 albums where he was just like rolling. So this one was big because it was me going into school, listening to Ye stuff, and a real backpack kid. So that's why I picked this one, and it's nice. It was nice to hear Nas, on something relevant. So. It's messed up to say, but yeah.
So let me ask you this, man. So let me ask you this, because you were in the era that you were at Southern. I think trap was just about to like go national.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so you just said something like you were a backpack kid going into college. So I'm sure you weren't the only the only backpacker at Southern, but I'm also sure that y'all were outnumbered.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So it was they were coming from everywhere. So you had mentioned we were in Baton Rouge. You had mentioned before Webby and Lil Boosie. They're from Baton Rouge. All right. So that was 80% of the market there.
Oh yeah. I know. I know.
My boy, my best friend is from Atlanta. Jeezy is coming out, so he's pitching work and doing all. So Jeezy's got another percentage over there. But we had some guys, and then Wale was around the corner. So when he dropped, I think in like next year, 2006, I think, people started kind of crossing over, and then Cole and Kendrick were coming. So like,
wow. What about Drake?
Drake was huge. Okay,
mixtape Drake. Yeah, mixtape Drake.
Is huge. Drake was the bridge between for me anyway. He was the bridge between the backpacking guys and the guys who were rapping about absolutely nothing but on dope beats, and he was
Hey man, I had to ask because I know that was like that was like Ivan said, like we were on the pre-cusp of the MySpace thing, so it was a lot of dudes where I could make beats in my room, or I could do stuff on my laptop, or Fruity Loops and all that stuff was kind of starting to come out. And I think Knife Wonder had kind of got known off of like Fruity Loops and stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like I think, but
he produced that beat for Knife. He produced that beat for Jay-Z in 03, the president off of Black Album.
Right. See, but I also know how HBCUs are, and they're territorial, and then they're geographical. If you from this area, most of y'all hang together. If you from this area, most of y'all, few of us like myself were the ones who were just cool with everybody. But for the most part, it's territorial. And so I kind of knew that, being at, one, just where Southern is, you know what I'm saying? I knew that it had either, because this was Wayne starting his ascension then? And I think
Wayne was mixtape Wayne had been out. Of course, Hot Boys was released. So he had been, but they had a series called I can't believe I was just talking about this last night with my boys. But he had a group of his boys were just dropping a mixtape
Yeah,
every 3 months. I
yeah,
forget the name of them. It's a whole bunch of Young Money guys.
Oh, I know what you talk about. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
I just
yeah,
forget the name of them. But
yeah.
yeah, Wayne was already hot and crazy and
yeah,
taking over.
yeah.
But
So I can imagine in his backyard.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Amongst all the other stuff, you know, with Ti and all them still there, that
yeah,
there was a you had that you know, who like people just identify with. And
hmm
so I'm sure kind of in all of that being a backpacker, because you know, like if I say I'm a backpacker, then I was older than you, so they'd be
yeah.
like, okay, yeah, he's like, you know, 30-year-old dude, you know what I'm saying? You know, okay, 34-year-old dude, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, old
Well,
man, you know what I'm saying?
When Wale comes out, Wale had a big impact on the game. When people he doesn't get enough credit for.
Oh yeah, shout out to
But
Virginia
he,
State because he went to
yeah,
Virginia State. He
yep,
did go to
Virginia
Virginia
State.
State. Yeah,
Wale raps a lot about not being confined to what a backpack kid is, or
yeah,
not. You hear me, you think I'm a conscious rapper, and you don't put me in a calendar or I mean not a calendar,
yeah,
but a column.
Mm-hmm.
I just listen to my music. If it's dope, it's dope. If you don't like it, don't expect this from me. So
yeah, yeah. I can
Wale
dig
broke
that.
some molds.
Wow, so like
But
the
Yeah.
Charles Barkley of hip hop.
yes,
Yeah,
we'll see.
I'm just
but
kidding.
I know, but in defense of them, though, I mean, like none of them ever said that we are backpack rappers. I think
Right.
that was just a term
Mm.
that hip hop publications gave them.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, for
Mm-hmm.
for just well, they ain't thugs. You know what I'm saying? So like, what do you
Oh,
call
right.
them? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah, definitely,
because they weren't
definitely.
calling themselves thugs or whatever, so it was like, well, they always got a backpack. So
That's it.
that's
That's it.
that's kind of how. But yeah, go ahead with your song pick, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Oh,
made
we
you.
good. We
Okay.
made
With Nasty Nas.
yeah.
You motherfuckers better do your job and roll up and watch how we roll up and I can't control it, can't hold it, it's so nuts. I take a sip of that yak, I wanna fuck. I take a hit of that chronic, it got me stuck. But really what's amazing is how I keep blazing. Towel under the door, I'm smoking to the days and puff, and pass, don't fuck up rotation. Hypnotic for Henny, that nigga, that's a chaser. Turn nothing to something, that pimpin', that's a savior. Less things I bring, that pimpin' get your paper. High off the ground instead of skyscraper. Cool out, thinking we local, come on homie, we major.
We major? Come on, homie, we major. We major? Come on, homie, we major. We major. Come on, homie, we major. We major. Come on. Feeling better than some head on a Sunday afternoon. Better than a chick that say yes too soon. Until you have a daughter, that's what I call karma. And you pray to God she don't grow breasts too soon. Projects toe up, gang signs stone up. Niggas hats broke off, that's how we grow up. Why else you think shorties write rhymes just to blow up? Get they first car and then IRS show up. He ain't never had shit, but he had that 9. Nigga come through flickin' and he had that shine. Put 2 and 2 together in a little bad weather. Gon' be your whole family on that funeral line. Ask the Reverend, was the strip clubs cool? If my tips help send a pretty girl through school, that's all I want. Like winos want they good whiskey. I ain't in the clan, but I brought my hood with me.
You motherfuckers better do your job and roll up and watch how we roll up and I can't control it, can't hold it, it's so nuts. I take a sip of that yak, I wanna fuck.
It's so hard to believe it's the same cat.
Yeah, listening to that clan line, it's a little different now.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yo.
Because he would preach. I love Kanye because he used to be able to say so much with so little words, like
Yeah.
you know. So I love Kanye, man. So
Boy, look at here.
Man, look.
Well, mess with them Kardashians to do it to you.
Man, first of all, I had to. Okay, so Warren Campbell's on this, Kanye, and who else? John Brion, is that right? On the production credits. But I was like, I'm listening to it, and I'm like, yo, what? So it only lists, it lists the action by Orange, not Orange Crush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Orange Crush. Which on out of action we get Sucker MCs
Mm-hmm.
because Sucker MCs is Crush Groove one.
Yeah.
So that action joint is like that's hip hop. That's like holy grail stuff right there. And but it lists reasons too on the samples. But I don't hear reasons. So I'm assuming they chopped it and did their own thing with it, but they still had to give credit. I guess I don't know, but I hear some.
As in
I,
reasons by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
yeah, but I hear Stevie. That chord progression is Stevie Wonder. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, let me play it real quick. I mean, I'm not saying it's an actual Stevie Wonder song. I'm saying it is Stevie Wonder esque. Like, let me see.
Stevie
See if it play.
Ish.
Yeah. Like, listen to that. Da, da. Okay, now we're gonna move. When the summer came, that's not super woman, but see that? And then this last chord right here, where they move. Da, da. It ain't.
Oh, that piano might be from reasons that.
Yeah, the piano. But you hear that chord progression? That is Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is Stevie Wonder. I'm just saying whoever put it together, maybe Warren Campbell, I don't know. But they were like, "Hey man, let's do something like Superwoman. Let's do something like I don't know." But I mean that just struck me. I was like, "This is cool."
Yeah.
And then what he's talking about, it's like, "Is this Kanye?"
Yeah. Yeah, man. I miss this Kanye. They say they want the old Kanye, but
Hey man,
Kanye was really impactful on my life, and it's like I say.
And I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, he wasn't. I mean, at that time he could. I mean, he was getting a lot of shine, and people were digging him, and they were looking at him to. He was kind of the face of hip hop. In terms of like what was happening and where it could possibly go.
Yeah.
And so he had his finger, as like Jimmy Jam would say, he had his finger on the pulse of the culture.
Did. He really did.
And so it was, stuff was happening. People were picking him to, do something, even if he wasn't, production wise, what people thought he was. He could do a hook or two or something like that, or whatever. And people would, kind of feel him, man. But yeah, that's
story of life.
I mean, there was this moment, and I mean, say, it's like, it's like all the great ones say, like everyone has a moment, but can you sustain the consistency of what you do over a period of time? So like Quincy Jones ain't Quincy Jones because he just did Thriller.
No.
I mean, that's a part of his resume, but make no mistake, that is not the resume.
No. He did a few other things.
Yeah.
A couple.
Yeah. So but yeah, I mean, yeah, Kanye. I mean, all the accolades that I guess he may have gotten at that time, man. I'm not gonna say that he didn't deserve them. I mean, he was, doing his thing. So.
Yeah. So we're up to the Rickers third.
Oh man, the third and last one. Okay. I know before I make my pick, and this person is not my pick, but before I make my pick, I want to give a quick shout out to the 25th anniversary of Brown Sugar by D'Angelo.
Oh, you gotta do that.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, game changer. Genre creator. And so I did that because this next person kind of came post D'Angelo. And honestly, this dude, man, is he's really a slept on talent. And say, I know his second release kind of, made people take notice of him, but then he had a little situation where he kind of people were kind of like making jokes about him, you know what I'm saying? He kind of, like the press tried to spin him like he was this bad person, but he put out an album in 2005 2005,
Mm-hmm.
and it was I guess it was a comeback. You know, whatnot. Some people didn't really dig it or kind of slept on it. I thought it was great because it has probably one of his best ballads he has ever written, and that's what people tend to kind of say. You know, they kind of got caught up in the hype because again, at that particular time, you know, artists really didn't have a platform to where they could say, "Hey, yeah, these people lying." Or you know, like push back against these accusations or like these false narratives. Let me just say these false narratives. And so
No one lies, Rick. No one lies.
yeah, yeah,
That's fake news.
Yeah.
and right. And so and so and so when he put the album out, you know, people were kind of like, oh yeah, this dude is back. Oh yeah, he's, you know what I'm saying, da, 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 da. But then all that stopped when he heard this song.
Oh.
And I first heard the song on a documentary for like Earth, Wind and Fire because he apparently said he had did it for them, but it never came out for them. And in the studio, and in the scene in the documentary, it shows like Philip Bailey singing it, and he's in the studio like with Maurice White, and it's on the documentary Shining Stars. But he kept it for himself. It's like probably one of his best ballads. It's Eric Benet, and it's a song called "I Want to Be Loved."
Oh man, I love Eric.
Yeah, and so you know, like, and the album was Hurricane, and it's interesting. Since then, people have come to realize, hey, Eric might have been telling the truth.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? It was like he was telling the truth then, but
I know where you're going there, sir.
but you know, it's you
awesome.
know, yeah, man, like this tune, man, he you know, man, that brother never. I marvel at his songwriting, man. He's just him and his partner, and DeMonte Posey are just
dudes.
They are, man. Yeah. I know when they get together, like whenever I buy his stuff, and I've been a supporter of his since the first one, like True to Myself. And whenever I get his stuff and I see the credits and I see man DeMonte's name on there with him, you know, some magic, man, is like about to happen. And for anybody out there who never got past the Spend My Life with You, Eric Benet, and all that, man, do yourself a favor and, you know, go and get his stuff, man, because it's dude is like one of the underrated vocalists of our era. Like,
absolutely.
You know, I think we go look back one day and people are gonna be like, yo, I didn't know he could sing like that. Like that's he is that cat, man. Like I really, man, think, I mean, so, you know, he kept you know, like I think whenever I had those moments where I think like R&B is losing its credibility, he put something new out, and I'm like, okay, I am reminded, okay, him and a couple other people trying to keep it, you know what I'm saying, you know, valid. But yeah, man, like this song is just like, if you ever need it for a wedding,
right,
or something like that, man, or like you and your lady just chilling, or you and your special person, man, just like this tune here, man, it's like
no doubt. And real quick, Eric Benet is super active on social media. He's, matter of fact, he's doing a virtual concert next a week with John B. I think it's on July 8th. But follow that brother, man. He's always got great anecdotes. Sometimes he'll go live and just talk about music and music biz. But yeah, showing love and support. Man, now I gotta go see this documentary.
Right.
Yeah, Shining Stars.
Left me cold and gray. I had almost reached heaven just to feel it slip away. But life's too short to waste away being scared to take chances, or so I heard wise men say. I wanna just to be loved by you. Taste, touch, hear,
I played this for a wedding.
Yeah, I know it.
now, girl.
I was like, why do I know this song so well besides just listening to it?
Ready to exchange lifelong vows. Yes, I am. 'Cause now you show how God has smiled on this chance and this moment. For this I prayed all my life. I wanna be,
Lord have mercy.
faithful and true.
That's like a church joint.
Oh yeah, 2 billion lifetimes with you, girl.
Let's go to this chord.
After all I've been through,
I'm gonna finish out the get the
I let my
resolve.
heart take its chances
Before we go to the bridge.
just to be loved by you.
Oh, thank you so. Woo, Lord, I can hear Earth, Wind, and Fire singing it now.
Man, listen.
Lord.
And on the clip, on the DVD, it's not like it's only maybe like a minute,
Yeah.
2 minutes or whatever. But
Woo.
I like remember looking at Earth, Wind, and Fire like current like release thing. Like, man, where's this song? Could never find it. I was like, damn. But every time I watched the DVD, I just kept playing like that part over and over. And then when the CD came out, if you remember, this was when Tower and then like Circuit City and all of them had like listening stations.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the listening booth. I must have stood there at least 30 minutes playing the same song, just like, like, yo, like, I mean, because you know, I had never heard the entire thing. And
Right,
as you hear it, like the first time, you're like, wow, it's a beautiful song. Then you hear it again, you're like, wow, listen to the horns. Like, wow, listen to this change.
Yeah.
Wow, listen to the background vocals. It was like everything, man. He like put his foot in that thing, man. That joint is like,
Yeah. And isn't it? I mean, that's kind of wild. We started this whole thing off about 2005 and the keyboard. That was me. So
yeah.
the keyboard beats and we have 2 songs that are literally live instrumentation,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of all this and my complaining, we have this.
Hey man, you know, it's a rainbow after every storm.
It really is. I think
It's a rainbow after every storm.
after
Rainbow after every
2020,
storm.
bands will come back.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like that's and you know the craziest thing is I gotta go like on a musician rant. It's kind of like Ivan, like you know this, you know, because you said like you played this at like a wedding. You know, like people would be like, yes, I need you to come play at my wedding. You're like, okay, so what do you want to hear? And like, I don't know. And then you play something like this, you're like, yes, we love this. It's like
My cousin gonna sing the Urban.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Your cousin.
Yeah, it's cool,
my favorite. So your cousin is singing it in the key of the yeah. Then get there right before the wedding. Can you take it down? This
You take it down like two whole steps and a half.
right. Sure I can. Let me get right on that. I mean, I can. I've had to, but that's all.
Oh yeah, I know. You've been like, "Hey, Rick, is this okay? Gotcha. I'm with you." Okay, 2 whole steps and a half, huh? All right.
Oh boy, that was fun. That was fun. You're gonna laugh at me, but they always laughed at me, right? You know what I mean? So no, I'm going completely left. There's no way in the world that neither one of you all will figure out what my last pick is. No way.
2005.
You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. I don't
Yeah. I'm not even gonna give it any context. You're gonna be like, I'm like, yeah. Like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I don't want to like come off like I'm some like, elitist music nerd. Like I like for example, like, well, that's not even that hard to justify. Shook Ones is like one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, period.
Yeah.
Please do not put that on in my presence because I would turn into because I just love that joint, And there's other things that I love. I told my students this year when I got to see them in person but like there's a certain thing that OT Genesis does that I love because he's a
Yeah.
troll. Like that appeals to me.
Yeah.
So so I can be as I mean this isn't even ratchet, but I just like it. So it might make sense. All right, here we go.
Hey Marie.
Yeah. Crazy in Love Part 2. You know what it is.
Don't wanna tell you what it is. Oh wait, it felt so serious. Got me thinking just too much. I wanna shut it out, but it's this one thing that got me tripping. It's this one thing that got me tripping. You did this one thing.
That's the hype. First time I heard this song was with Rick
Yeah.
at the Hyperlink Cafe.
Yeah, but the Hyperlink Cafe just did a gig. Yep. He was like, what? Yep. We had just done a gig.
Yep. Yeah, but I've always loved this song. And it was like a highlight for 2005. I almost said 2015.
Yeah. Shout out to Rich Harrison for that because
Exactly,
he produced that,
man.
man. DC Go-Go influence in that.
Yeah. Oh, that was
good.
right. That's why.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hear the elements. Definitely, you can definitely hear the elements in it, man.
Yeah.
You know, she was another one of those singers, man, that like Tidra. I mean, because I know her first album,
Dude.
it came out of nowhere for people. And like I remember those first two singles are like Fall in Love and Talking to Me.
Dude.
Like they were just
different.
They were just different at the time. And even I think when her first one came out, I think Ashanti was, riding her wave and everybody was kind of big on her. And then this came out and it was just like, oh wow, like who is this girl? And then when this song came out again, this is post Crazy in Love, but it was still her, and it was like wow,
still her. And I joke about that, but it's a different swing. It's cool. It's mad cool.
And it was still her, and so like that was the thing, man. Like she always, I think A. Marie always kind of had a just something about her. I mean,
you know what? I just thought about this, but if she came out now, I'm talking about being the age she was then, I think she would be like super. I mean, she had a nice run, but I'm just saying like the way that culture has moved to the point where people are much more they embrace much more of their hyphenated multicultural selves and and it's just the environment.
Now she came out in a crowded market. Now
that's what I'm saying. Like, if she came out now,
she came out in a crowded market because it was like a lot of females were like kind of bartering for that space by like Beyonce hadn't quite yet been taken over and niched out yet.
And rest in peace because we're in that's in the era right after Aaliyah passed.
That
was a very, very crowded marketplace.
I mean it's funny. I mean, and I don't want people to think that crowded is bad because now you gotta like, well, if you ain't this person, then you ain't hitting.
Right.
Thing now. But then it was kind of like I think people were trying to establish that then it was just we were trying to filter it was hard. People were trying to filter through like, okay, like who do we like when you could like everybody. But I think the powers that be, meaning the industry, wanted to say somebody was the person or like these suits wanted to say like somebody was the person, and so they always wanted to say someone is the person or some group is the group.
Yeah, just open
And
the
so
doors, man. Just let
yeah,
it be.
she did a I remember after this she did a thing with Trey Songz where they sampled like Mint Conditions, like Pretty Brown Eyes.
Okay.
And I remember that was the first time for that, but yeah,
Paying
that was cool, man.
homage. I can dig
Yeah.
it. I can dig it. So, Mr. Brav.
All
And
right.
now
Do
from
you
the
have-
graduates.
Yeah, I know. You got the extra pick. What's
All
And
right,
now,
Ricky.
okay, take a theme from the Cosby Show final episode, and so we commence.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I was teetering. I had a whole bunch of picks that I was kind of like playing around with.
Yeah.
Okay, you go pick the game.
But no,
You go
this
pick the
one,
game. You going West Coast. You go pick the game.
mentioned them earlier, Rick. They're pretty Ricky. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Now, let me tell you why.
Okay.
Before I could afford to fly because I was a broke college student, I would hop on the Greyhound bus.
You
and
sure?
take
Oh my gosh, yes, you would.
A
Yep.
30-hour trip from
Hey man, listen,
from
you're not a
Louisiana.
legit HBCU student. You don't catch the bus or the train. At some point,
Oh my
if
gosh.
you don't catch the bus or
remember-
the train, you're not a legit HBCU student.
I remember picking you up at the bus station and taking you back sometimes. When you,
30
oh
hours.
My God.
30 hours on the bus.
Woo.
That's a headache, okay? But
Oh, bro, I know. You gotta tell me. I know.
luckily, I had my Discman, Walkman, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and my handy dandy CD book. Okay. The one time on the way back, my first leg leaving Louisiana, I was listening to Pretty Ricky, and some guy came up to talk to me, and we were going through my CD book. I was showing him my Pride and all this good stuff, you know, all the late album covers like slided in there, all organized and such. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, this man took my entire CD book. All I had left was Pretty Ricky Blue Stars for 30 hours in my Discman. So,
hey, man. Yeah.
So
Man.
that's why I picked Little Pretty Ricky. Excuse me. I'm gonna pick "Can't Live Without You" though. That's the last song on that album.
Yeah.
But
Shame on you, whoever stole the CDs.
man.
I'm sure Karma came back and got you.
Yeah.
But I
Hey,
know
but
every
yeah,
song.
man.
I know every word of every song on this album because of that, though. So that's why.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. You have my CDs.
Yeah, buddy.
What are
Hey,
you
listen.
talking about?
Hey, listen. That's a growing pain of life, boy. And I bet you
Yeah.
learned after that. Never share anything with people on public transportation.
No,
No.
I tell you what. I turned around and bought an iPod.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Do that, man.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's hey man, yeah.
Oh yeah, we learn. Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
I've been there.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning, and she ain't feeling right. I'm on a first class trip through this place called life. I don't know what to do, 'cause my body's still shaking. I know it's time to man up and start my education. I need someone to call on, so I called on my best friend. I said, bro, I can't take it. He said, boy, stop tripping. So I hung up the phone, packed my shit and got right. I know what I gotta do now. Be a man and face a lie. Baby, we could work it out, 'cause you know I can't live without you. And every time I think about it, I know a nigga can't live without you. Ain't no need to cry about it, 'cause you know I can't live without you.
And here come the rappers to ruin the song.
You was gone, I was staying with my mama. Stayed getting in trouble, man, straight damn drama. I started dancing, so I stayed out of trouble. I stayed in school selling candy, so my money goes. But then you told me, man, dancing was for phones. Then you told me come and stay, and you ain't care what I want. You told me come and dance and rap with my brothers. You taught me how to love and how to care for my brothers. And then you told
they
me
keep
I'm
going.
hustling, just in case I get a loan, I know how to pay bills. You told me I was straight regardless of a deal. And I love you, man, for that, cause you always kept it real.
Maybe we could work it
Awesome pick. That's an excellent commentary on that era, and a nice way to put a bow on this. This one was, they're all fun.
But, okay, hold up, man. I gotta ask, because I know you were pissed. Like, I know your CDs were gone, and you were left with this one.
Oh no! I know.
I know you was pissed. How long did it take you to listen to them again after you had gotten home and back to school and all that? Because I'm sure you took like a year off, couple years, 5 years.
I had to take a long break, man. I couldn't even see the words "pretty" or "Ricky" separately. I had to take a break, man. It was a while before I could come back to it.
And those Greyhound stops are like every 45 minutes, 50 minutes seem like, so,
He moved fast.
Man.
I applaud his sleight of hand. He got it.
Right.
Hey, man, yeah.
Yo.
Hey, listen.
I was just gonna say, whoever's out there listening,
you know what I'm saying? You got the CDs, you know what I'm saying? You came up.
Return CDs.
Yeah, man, I need my Joel Santana back.
Oh no. Classic.
Hey, man.
This is bars.
Hey, look. Okay, but for real though, did you really have some gems in the collection, or are you now in hindsight like, well, you didn't keep it?
I had some gems, but they were a lot of burned tapes as well, though.
Oh sure.
Okay.
It's probably just karma coming back to me.
Easy for using Easy Jackster.
Hey man. Hey, that's a good way of looking at it. Could be. Because I've lost some stuff too. I was pissed. I'd be like, you know what?
I burned it.
I burned it, or like I got some people for stuff. So I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'm just go every, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
chalk this one up.
That's the early 2000s for real. Like, my discs.
Oh man, that's funny.
Man, I cannot thank you all enough for doing this. I mean, I thank you anyway, but this kind of lifted my spirits for the day. Got recovering from the boom shakalaka of last night, 4th of July. I don't know what y'all cats out there doing. Please give it a rest tonight.
Man, I mean, you know what it is? I mean, honestly, I think for years people have been dependent on some other place and providing fireworks. Yeah. And then they realize that, hey, I don't need to go sit in traffic on the highway or you know what I'm saying?
Do it myself.
I could do it myself. And that's pretty much all it is. I mean, like people realize that, and so they I mean, which is odd because like you say, something that you did as a kid, you would think, wow, like you never did this as a child. And then, some people didn't,
right.
I did. And so,
we did.
And so for them, it's like all new. And it's just like, wow, like y'all never did this. And so, I'm sure you probably know, and you probably too, nephew, like when you go further south, you see fireworks spots outside the highway.
Road. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, fireworks, and so like, I mean, lighting them is not a 4th of July thing. It's just like, okay, my birthday, or like New Year's, homecoming, you know what I'm saying? It's something. So, so, like baby showers and so, I think last night, I know for that, part of the U.S. population that, was like, oh yes, I could do this myself. It was new for them, man. So.
So we just hope everybody stays safe. Again, we're not a political. Yes, we are, but we're not. we don't endorse or whatever. All I'm saying is, whatever you believe about where we are with the virus and quarantine, all I'm saying is be safe. Use some common sense. You know, cats out here thinking it's over. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, yo, just be chilly chill, because you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, say, man, I'm quote Bootsy Collins the other day. I know he posted a One Nation Under the Groove
Oh, word.
thing yesterday. Like, I think for the 4th of July, and like Gambling Huff said, there's a message in the music.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like you said, hey, those of us out there, I'm gonna say this: if your favorite artist is not coming to do a show in your town, that's a sign. If the people who don't look like you favorite artist is not coming to town to do a show, that's another good sign.
Very good sign.
You know what I'm saying? If the country club in your area, not the gym,
yeah, the country
but
club
the
ain't
country
open.
club
Yeah.
is not open, that's a good sign. And say, keep in mind, I'm all for, like government officials, but their reality and your reality is not the
Very
same.
different.
It's not the same.
No, sir.
So, hey, be, ride the wave out. Like, you ain't by yourself.
We all in this together, like High School Musical. So
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, right. We are all in this together. So, hey, look, we give you some good music, to go back and research and dig into.
Yep. Yeah, just stay inside with us. And we like I said, love this. Next week we're going back in time. So 89. This was great, nephew. Man, thank you for 05. Thank you for the headbands, all the stuff y'all did, VH1, pop-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
Before Love and Hip Hop,
Flavor of Love was favorite.
All that. Yeah, Flavor of Love, So
you know what? I will say this. I mean, last week when you said like 05, I know we all were kind of like, woo, but after kind of digging into it, you see that, it wasn't, even if it looks like, okay, the good stuff was outnumbered, I know the good stuff has still stood the test of time.
Yep.
And so, like when he brought up, and the little brother, and you brought up the Teacher Moses, like when I did the Eric or the Mint, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like somebody's out there is go, pull that song up, be like, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot this. And it's some more stuff. It's like the Brian McKnight Gemini, the Kim's second album. It's like some other stuff. And so, it's not, I don't think any of these years, are like disposable.
No,
but
not at all.
But I think it says to, like moving forward that, hey, you know what, maybe what the suits say works don't work. And maybe and maybe say, like what's being pumped on my, algorithm for my Instagram or my feed, say, is not, that thing, because, it's something being played now that 10 years from now or 20 years from now, somebody will be like, man, that wasn't even the best song in 2020. Let me tell you, it was this one. This was before the pandemic or after the pandemic. It was this, and so I mean, say, it's just some things, man, think about, because like we made jokes about the Pussycat Dolls song and D4L and all that, but they were there. I mean, say, I mean, they were there.
Hey man, they did it. I'm just chat on Monday morning quarterback, and so like
I mean,
no shame at all.
I'll never forget what Fabo looks like. he's in there now. He's locked in.
I mean, like nephew said, like, like I'm pretty sure he had some people that were at school at Southern say at that time, you put those same songs that they were at the gym party and they might be like, oh my God, I danced to this. They wouldn't let their children listen to it now. They'd be like, no.
Yeah, turn that off.
Like, no, you can't play that. You know, like it's some girl that he and his fellas probably, oh man, look, she's super fly. She was at the party dancing. I bet you now you put that song on, she'd be like,
can't do it.
No.
I danced to that. Me? You sure it was me? Okay, nephew's like, yes, it was you. I remember seeing you.
Well, now I'm in a personal relationship with my Lord and Savior. So it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, like it's some dude out there that still got the headbands on, you know, big white tees. It's coming back.
Yeah,
bruh, I don't.
That's still a guy out there.
Yeah.
There's still a guy out there.
You know, like if somebody say, I know in they feelings mad because we talked about Webby. You're like, hey man, what's talking about, Sean?
I joke a lot. That's the last thing I'm gonna say about it. I joke a lot, but Boosie and Webby shaped me as well into who I am because I got to see a side of people that I never thought existed.
Wow.
Culture shock.
I don't want that. You said I don't want that.
Culture shock. You don't have to travel, to Brazil to get some culture shock. You can just drive
No.
about an hour and a half. And it is, it is. It's different, but
and I was thinking, and I don't. We could wrap with this. I don't want to keep y'all too long for your busy days. But I thought about you, nephew, and Rick. I know the Ricker saw this. I'm sure he did. He's on it. He's a sharp cat. I thought about you, nephew, when I saw them brothers from. Is it Bosnia? How do you pronounce it? Bosnia City.
Oh, Bossier.
Bossier. My bad.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I'm a Virginian. Did you see these brothers?
What? Which ones?
They rolled up. They had them brothers.
Oh,
the
yeah.
The Stone Mountain thing.
No, before that.
The
brothers in Louisiana that had their guns.
Yeah.
Protecting the women. That was right there. Yeah, Bossier Shreveport. Yeah, right over there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I immediately thought of you. I was like, hey.
Yeah. That's been circulating. That's been circulating. But it's funny you say that because music or history, I know when it comes to us, it's kind of like, sometimes you see stuff that gets shown and then you miss the stuff that people may not catch, kind of like if you do, a Google search of the songs from 2005, the stuff that we mentioned won't be on there because I did it.
Right.
It's not on there because I did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the same thing saying history, and I was having this discussion, I know, with another cat earlier, because they were saying something about the slogan, on a shirt, and it says, I am not my ancestors.
Oh.
And it was saying like how kind of disrespectful it is to your ancestors because say, like you've been taught that they didn't do anything when in actuality, they did stuff. It was just that they did a lot, but your history has been taught you in a sense that it makes you seem like they did. Now, granted, everybody wasn't 10 toes down out there in the streets.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was some people that was chilling, but I say that video shows something because for a lot of us, that's the first time they've ever seen that because they've always been seeing the peaceful, nonviolent, don't do this type thing. But that's not the first time that some brothers have done that. That's not the first. You know what I'm saying? Listen, it just doesn't get shared.
It doesn't get shared. I know you know this as a historian, as a teacher. I know the nephew knows these things because he's super well read and thinks about this stuff. But there were militias, black militias, right after the Civil War, that were not afraid to go at
fight.
You got stories from Union, South Carolina, literally right after the war, and these white cats was acting greasy or whatever, and the brothers show up with guns and so but
I know we gotta I'm gonna tell this guy, man, a good friend of mine. He's a well-known author, motivation teachers at Clark and Dennis Kimbrough.
Yes.
I used to bag his groceries back in the day, man.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I think the last visit I had with him, I think we were just talking, and he's for those who don't know, he is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, I know fraternity, and so we were talking about just stuff in the world, and he was saying how when a young Reverend Dr. King was in, I know, Montgomery, and they were starting a boycott. He said he put a phone call in to some of his frat brothers and was like, they, like, I got these people down here, they trying to do some things, and it's women and children that's out here marching. He was like, and he says frat brothers like, okay, no problem.
Yeah,
And
take
they
care of that.
showed up. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, those are stories that, if you ask the average African American, they're going to tell you, well, I know about peaceful protests and them doing this. They don't know about the no. Let me tell you about the other side. And
right.
And so when you only get one narrative, you don't you tend to not want to research the other narrative, and then you only think that that's that. But yeah, I saw those brothers in Shreveport, man, and I was like, hey, that's what I'm talking about.
I was like,
hey, hey, look, I was waiting for somebody to come out of that joint with a Radio Raheem boombox and start playing Fight the Power. Like, yo, like, I mean, seriously, man, like, like that's and that's a just like that like when we see those things, and like in 2020, and I know it's like and it's like, yeah, we do that, yeah, but hey, man, okay, shout out, I know, man, to those brothers, man. And on top of it,
the Stone Mountain joint, was, dude.
And these things are happening in the South, like that's that's like saying, so like for years, Southern African Americans have gotten this perception of being slow and not on it, and meek and timid, and it's like, now all this even in the King era, like, okay, these jokers was the ones that was out there, and so and so like,
not to glorify violence or nothing like that, but if it's one thing I know about Southern, and sometimes you can take it to rural Black brothers and sisters, they shoot straight. Because they know, they grew up in that culture. They know, it's not some other thing. It's just a part of their, it's just part of their culture. So
but I was glad to see those brothers, man. And then to join in Stone Mountain yesterday, I was like, I said, boy, look here.
We've come a long way since Oprah's first season with Jose Williams
and Forsyth County.
Man, listen, we come a long way. Like, yo.
And so, look, I know this is not the, in this era of like the anti-bullying type thing, and I know, man, like being an educator, you're supposed to. It's channels that say you go through to deal with that, and I always tell my students, I be like, look, so this may not be the proper advice, but I said at some point, you're gonna have to stand 10 toes down and just stare somebody in the face and be like, do that again, I'm gonna crack you in the jaw. You know what I'm saying? And I said, hey, I said, I promise you, I said, you can tell every teacher, every grade that, man, you go through, you can report every incident, but at some point in life, at some point, you just have to let somebody know. Be like, look here. I'm gonna crack you in the jaw. Even if you get hit back, I promise you they're not gonna bother you no more.
You gotta stand, you gotta defend yourself and stand up for what's right.
Yeah,
man.
And that's, man, I'm glad to see that, especially in like Stone Mountain and Shreveport, man, because they, I mean, so those, especially when you, I'm well, dang, Maryland down. I was trying to say, swinging through, man, like, I mean, because like people think like, well, it's Atlanta, but I tell people all the time, there's the rest of Georgia. you know,
There's
like
that.
you know,
There's
like
that.
you know, like I know, like Louisiana has like New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but there's the rest of it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah.
You learn
There's the
quick.
rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also known as the parts you keep driving through.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Don't stop. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't stop.
Sundown town,
Yes. Oh
over
yeah.
sundown towns and
Yeah.
stuff like
Like,
that, man. So,
man.
yeah. So, I mean, and then, you know, and like, I'm sure some people out there that may be wondering, well, why they got to do that? Because sometimes you gotta let people know we will defend ourselves. You are not going to show up and harass women and children.
Right.
Not on our watch.
That's like the long running motto. Leave them kids alone. Leave the women. Just
You
stop,
are
man.
not going to show up out here and intimidate a peaceful protest.
Yes,
Right.
cut it out.
If they come in peacefully and you choose not to, we have something for you.
Yep.
And
As
we are
a
not
right.
afraid. Yeah,
As a right.
Yeah. And see, and then that's the other thing too. Like, because here at the state capitol yesterday, the lady showed up, stuff with the guns. And I was like, okay. I was like, then they need to see us with guns. See, that'll stop all that. Okay. I got a gun too. Okay, what's that?
Yeah.
Okay, what was that? I think what was that hip hop song? I got a 9 and you got a 9 and she got, everybody got, and then they all pulled out like number 9s. It was like, what I'm saying? I think it was Black Sheep and somebody. Well, I got a 9 and you got a 9. Okay, well, hey, all right. See, because that's all that is. Like, like they thinking that everybody gonna come peaceful. Okay, we showing up with you. Okay, I can show up with some heat too. And they pull a doughboy from I think Boys in the Hood. Yeah, hey man, we got a problem.
That chills everything out.
Yeah, like hey, okay, like hey.
Yeah. Well, oh man, this is y'all need to catch all this heat. So this is coming out straight unedited. I don't care. No, let me say. But no, this is what we do. You know why? It's important that we do this, and sometimes we like I said, we get into other things because it is all part of the culture. It is all part of bridging the gap. It is so important, especially in the times that we're living in. So we don't live in a vacuum. We don't live on a cloud somewhere. This is real as it can get. But for all of the folks at Grown Folks Music, and remember to follow us on grownfolksmusic.com and Grown Folks Music 1 on Facebook, and then just Grown Folks Music everywhere else. This is the 3x3 BTG Bridging the Gap podcast. Tell a friend. Share it with grandma. Well, except, we don't cuss too much. Share it with people you love. And we'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about 1989, another summer. Woo! Get down. Sound of the funky drummer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now to be fair, that's the honorable mention song. Okay, nobody can pick that song. Yeah, nobody can pick. Okay, no. Okay, now that's the universal pick.
Absolutely. That's the
everybody's
anthem.
gonna pick that song. That's gonna be the anthem just for next week.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it because I just finished watching some Chuck D videos on Vlad or whatever. So
okay.
Yeah, so this is what a great show. 2005. It didn't end up being, I actually picked some songs. It was cool, and I really enjoyed everything that everybody picked. So tune in again next week. BTG, the 3x3, 1989, and we will see you then. Peace.
Peace, everybody.
Peace, guys.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right.